Yeah. So, morning, everyone. It's lovely to see you on what should be more of a springy day, but is a bit chilly. I'd love to hear how everyone is. If you want to, are able to check in and say how, especially those doing the spring shed, how are you going? Um, and we've actually been traveling, so it's been quite an unsettled time. We traveled down to St. Francis Bay for a day to go and see, and then went to go and see Pips at Quest. Um, and so I managed to do the 3 day juice fast and have been sort of clean eating, like eating clean stuff and avoiding caffeine and alcohol. And it hasn't been that easy to make those conscious choices, especially being out and about and in places like I saw Gail at Bruce's, which is our favorite coffee shop. And you just really like would love a cup of coffee, the sort of mental thought of having a cup of coffee. But once I'd chosen elsewhere, otherwise, it felt so much freer and easier. Whereas when I was sitting in that place, let me just pin myself of trying to decide, well, not trying to decide, but thinking, oh, it would be nice to, um, then it was very hard. So it was interesting that once we make these choices and we resolved on them, how much easier and freer it feels. Um, I see Jeanette's saying she did a 7 day detox and following cleanly. Well done, Jane. So the 7 day juice detox. That's fantastic. Well done. Um, and then we went to go and see Pips on this absolutely magnificent farm called Kaba, Kaba, in the Eastern Cape, where Quest is based. It's just near Alexandria. And it's the most magnificent Eastern Cape bush and green pastures and those melt into sand dunes and go towards the sea. And they're certainly getting something right there. Um, there's just an incredible life force energy amongst the youngsters, a sense of purpose. There are lots of young men who've been there the whole year. They've got great manners, and there's just the sense of living a life of purpose. And we joined their Sunday church service in Sheila and Jim, who runs it in their home. And it was just really lovely and really special and quite powerful seeing all these young men, all in their like late teens, early 20s, singing all these beautiful songs of worship. And Pips is really loving it. She's very, very happy. She read us her eulogy that they had to spend time thinking about the life that they're wanting to create and journaling and reflecting and the life they want to live. Um, and it's something that's so powerful. And it's just such a privilege to take time out to do this and to have the guidance. They've done a course Life 101, and then they've done everything from metal work to horse riding to sewing and cooking. This week they're abseiling and they're doing something called survival, where they go onto a farm, not the same farm, but for 3 nights, and they're in groups of four, and they have to be there in their shorts and t-shirts. They don't have sleeping bags, they don't have tents. They literally have to make shelters and make their fire and drink water from the farm. And yeah, it's really, I mean, we didn't hear too much about it. It's not really anything for um, the parents. I think we'll hear about it afterwards, but they really teach them that we can do hard things and that we're stronger than we think. Um, and they do these Saturday epics. And every time Pip says she thinks that she won't be able to do it, or it's going to be so hard and she's going to hate it. And actually, she's enjoyed it so much more than she thinks. And she wouldn't have willingly put herself forward for it, but then she sees it's better than she thought. And I think that's just such an interesting lesson and experience for us all, that we can do hard things. Anyway, so at the moment, yesterday was new moon and it's sitting in the constellation of Libra. So if you have an app like Skyview Light, you can hold it up and you can often see the shape of the new moon, and it's sitting in the constellation. You'll see the constellation of Libra. And Libra, as many of us know, is the scales. There's the image of the scales in balance. So it's all about our search for balance and peace and harmony. And So a further astrology, which I don't know that much about, but it's opposite Chiron, and Chiron is the wounded healer. And we all have Chiron in our chart somewhere. And our the Chiron is all about our deep core wounds of not being good enough or not being heard enough, or fears of rejection or abandonment, fears of not being supported. And so for us, it's different depending on where he falls in our personal charts, but we all have these wounds. And so this very much might be coming up in the time and disrupting the sort of the need for, or the strong feeling for balance and peace and harmony. Um, and the reason why I mention this is that I think it's helpful for us, for certainly I find it helpful to have an awareness. So if these feelings come up of perhaps not being good enough, or fears of abandonment or rejection, that we realize that this is kind of expected at this time. It's kind of in the stars, and it's not unique just to us. That everyone has these feelings sometimes, and I think that there's a great comfort and support in just that thought. So I just wanted to share that with you if it does come up for you. Um, and on those lines, in our spring shed, we've adopted affirmations, which we are repeating and returning to. And another beautiful affirmation that we can adopt is, I am worthy. I was born worthy. I need nothing outside myself to claim my true value. And I think that's beautiful. And I'll write it afterwards in our groups. So I'm worthy. I was born worthy. I need nothing outside of myself to claim my true value. And we've talked about this mantra before in our mindful moments, because it's really only humans that have this intense self-judgment, which is so destructive of us internally, and so divisive of us. It makes us feel so separate from others. Um, and it's not to say that there are not areas we can improve in our lives and hold ourselves to a higher standard, but the underlying belief of our worth, because we are created, is so vital. Um, so that's what the focus of our mindful moment is today. And just on that, a little bit on that note, as I was mentioning a little bit earlier about um, when we were at Quest, there's this great sense of like life force energy and purpose. Um, and I'm actually going to be doing a talk at in Nottingham Road tomorrow at Pause Pilates around the healing powers of nature, and so herbs and essential oils, and something that has come up that I'll also be talking about is the frequency that these carry. And so our body's electromagnetic frequency is very measurable. We kind of used to think this is like woo-woo, but now we've realized through science that we can really measure the frequency of individuals, of cells, of plants, of animals. And our heart holds the highest frequency in our whole body, and our heart can really affect our whole body. So it's our heart and our brain. And so when we tune into the feelings that we do when we do our mindful moment, it really raises our frequency and our vibration, and it can be sensed by others. And I think that that's what we could really sense at Quest as well, the increased frequency. Things like canned food or tinned food has a zero frequency. Obviously, things like screens and 3G and 5G disrupt our frequency. The dried herbs have a lower frequency than fresh herbs and fresh plants, and that's why walking barefoot on the beach or barefoot on the grass really helps to balance our electromagnetism and really helps us to feel better. So yeah, I think when we think about ways of improving ourselves, it's how can we increase our frequency, as opposed to when we lapse into self-judgment and such negative self-talk, it really decreases our frequency. So I invite you just to, on that note, take a deep breath in, and you can close your eyes or just drop your gaze, and breathing out. And as you breathe out, just inviting a softness into your body. So softening into areas that might be tense or tight. With every out breath, but also on every in breath, making sure that we assume a position that feels strong and supportive, that feels purposeful. So breathing in to our body with strength and purpose, and breathing out with softness and compassion. And as you do so, just noticing your feet on the earth beneath you, perhaps feeling a weightedness or an anchoring into the earth. Just tracing the points of connection of your feet with the ground. Noticing if your toes are connecting with the earth, or your shoes or your socks. Noticing the balls of your feet, your heels. If there's space beneath your arch. And then moving up to your seat, noticing your buttocks and your thighs resting on your cushion or chair or bed. Again, feeling into the points of contact, noticing the support offered. Noticing how the spine uncurls out of the pelvic bowl and reaches up towards the sky, with the ribs, shoulder blades, clavicle, all resting and hanging off the spine. There are areas of tightness or pain or constriction, just feeling into those and just gently breathing into them, offering them a softness, a letting go, an expansion. And then just feeling into neck and head, just scanning through the head, forehead, eyes, nose, mouth, jaw. And then expanding our awareness to take in our whole body. And particularly feeling into the in-breath. And then the pause. And then the out-breath. And then the pause. Just taking in the awareness of this tipping point where in turns to out and out turns to in. Feeling into that moment of balance, which we can never stay in before the scales tip, and then to a point of balance, calm, centeredness, and then we tip again. Just allowing these words to land. Don't meditate to fix yourself, to heal yourself, to improve yourself, to redeem yourself. Rather, do it as an act of love, of deep, warm friendship to yourself. In this way, there's no longer any need for the subtle aggression of self-improvement, for the endless guilt of not doing enough. It offers the possibility of an end to the ceaseless round of trying so hard that wraps so many people's lives in a knot. Instead, there's now meditation as an act of love. How endlessly delightful and encouraging. And so just feeling into this act of profound love. No need to fix, to heal, to improve, to redeem. Just to sit here in this moment of love. Dropping into your heart space. Sensing the inhale and exhale there. And now already sensing into this feeling of gratitude, of love, of connection. You may wish to call to mind something that you're grateful for from the last 24 hours. A cup of tea, a beautiful sunrise, a moment of connection with a friend, a hug with a loved one, a walk in nature, a glimpse of the stars. And as you call that to mind, just bringing it into your heart space. And just feeling into the sensation of gratitude for that moment. Noticing if it has a weight or texture, color, a lightness, a glow. And just sitting in this space, feeling into the frequency that emanates from it. Feeling it in the center of your heart space and radiating out into your body. Noticing how it may even expand into your abdomen, pelvis, shoulders, even down your arms, into your hands, down your legs and into your feet. This frequency of gratitude, of coherence. Even affecting our electromagnetic field. If thoughts start to wander, just noticing, as we may notice self-judgment that creeps up, noticing our woundedness that sometimes catches us unexpectedly. And just recognizing and repeating to ourselves that this is all part of being human. This is part of our journey. Everyone feels alone, not good enough, not worthy sometimes. But this is just a feeling. It's not the truth. You may want to even squeeze your arms, your shoulders in a gentle hug. Everyone feels like this sometimes. We're only human. It's part of our journey. Rest your hands on your heart space and just take a few more deep breaths. I'm worthy. I was born worthy. I need nothing outside of myself to claim my true value. You might want to say that in your mind or under your breath or out loud just after me. I am worthy. I was born worthy. I need nothing outside of myself to claim my true value. I am worthy. I was born worthy. I need nothing outside of myself to claim my true value. And then when you're ready, just taking a deep breath in and a long, slow, audible exhale. Deep breath in and a long sigh exhale. Sigh is such a powerful tool for bringing us back to our bodies, back to the present moment, whether we're sitting at our desk, whether we're driving in our car, whenever we feel that our thoughts have wandered, just taking a deep breath in and sighing out. And then when you're ready, just moving into fingers and toes, perhaps stretching into arms and shoulders, reaching out, opening up our bodies, opening up our eyes, taking in colors, lights, textures around us. Thank you for joining us today. I wish you a beautiful and blessed day. And for those who are in the spring shed, this is still continuing every week, even when it's not the spring shed. So we hope that you'll continue to join us and get your fix of frequency or frequency fix. Yeah, and if you'd like to unmute or type anything in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much, Hilda. Yeah, best day to you too.
Thanks, Max. Thanks, Max. It's just so important to have that moment of calmness and just bringing yourself. I love the I'm worthy. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that frequency is just amazing. They say that that the spirit world is on a different, it's close by, but it's on a different frequency. So it's
Exactly, one
funny
that
that
we
you
can't
actually
see
mentioned
and
that.
hear, feel.
Yeah. So that
Yeah, thank you, Gail.
improving your frequency is improving your awareness. And
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, I think it's an interesting thing for us through our days to go and sort of touch base and tap into ourselves and see whether things feel like they are increased frequency or high frequency or low frequency. Because I think the more we start to tap into it, the more we realize it. And that maybe, if we've been sitting at our computer for hours or at watching TV for hours or doom scrolling for hours, as our kids call it, moling, they call it, that perhaps that really drains one and drops one's frequency. Whereas when we've walked on the beach or been in nature or eaten healthy whole foods, essential oils also hold a very high frequency, especially, pure essential oils. So just to notice and start to tap into that more, because the more we bring awareness to it, the more we'll see. Yeah. So thank you all. Thank you, Umut. Thank you for joining. Yeah. Thank you for your lovely comment. And thanks, Bashi. See you all next week. Thank you, everyone. Bye.